deal. We kind of today's the last practice deal, so we got we kind of, for the most part, 3 days a week. Last week we did light Friday practice. They didn't want to practice this weekend. We took a fair amount of weekends, which sometimes I don't like to do in the springtime because you take so many weekends in the fall. The way our class schedule is set here, Monday's a big academic day, a lot of labs, engineering stuff. So it's hard to have a work day athletically Monday. So we actually had to use a couple Sundays. We didn't use Easter Sunday and didn't want to use this Sunday, didn't want to use this weekend. So we stole a practice last Friday, had some high school coaches out, which is kind of cool. So today's practice 20, really kind of wrapped up the bulk of practice from hitting contact stuff last week. For example, part of this week we put in our 2-minute offense defense Tuesday's practice. Today we're going to do some chunk plays. We're going to do some scoring zone plays. So we're just kind of trying to expose our guys to more situations so that when we go through the off season and we're trying to teach them, they're actually watching themselves do something instead of watching somebody else's offense or defense as you explain things. So anyway, we've had a good spring. Again, 2 practices this week, but the bulk has been is kind of done. At the same time, we told them yesterday it's not a good spring. If we don't finish very, very good today, we're not near good enough if we don't have a good practice day and keep finishing. Semester's coming to the close. We've been full throttle trying to push our guys academically, scheduling a good day of getting them into our building by 7:38 to see everyone, make sure we're up, make sure we're at breakfast, make sure we're at class, and making sure that we're having a good day. So that's been going. We're trending very well there. Proud of the guys there. I think we've came out of spring very healthy. I think we had one early, had a young freshman walk-on backup player that had an ACL injury and a non-contact, just kind of landed funny on the knee. But other than that, we've had a couple little minor injuries, but nothing that would prohibit summer training next season. So knock on wood, we still got to go today. But we've been very healthy. Thought we've done a good job of, again, trying to teach the culture we want, how to do it. The kids are responding pretty well. It's been a lot of back and forth, good days both sides, which I kind of like to see. You don't want to see defense just do well all the time or offense vice versa. So there's been a lot of back and forth. Had a lot of kicking game implementation, which has been great. And I'm sure we got a long way to go, but I'm very encouraged and like the way we practiced. And like I say, we'll wrap her up today.
Questions? Are the numbers okay? Have the numbers been good enough at every position that you're able to practice in the way that you would like? I don't know. Well, I guess 2 questions. Have you been able to do things exactly like you would want to in the spring with just the numbers you have at every position, or are there 1 or 2 that you're short? And then second, to get to, I don't know if 85 is really important to you getting to that number. Is there going to be any issue adding, do you need to add players post-spring to get to a completely full roster? Are you already there?
Yeah, we've, again, like I say, we've been pretty healthy. We've tried to be pretty smart and calculated on how much to go full. At the same time, I think the days that we've went full go practices or full go work or full go tackle, we've actually had less minor glitches than on the days when we didn't. Sometimes the speed of play, you're really, a lot of times there's going to be some injuries in all sport and sometimes in our sport, but what you're really worried about in the practice format is what you call friendly fire, where one guy's playing at one speed, one guy's out of control, and he just loses it and he falls into someone's legs. You get a cheap high ankle sprain or an unfortunate leg injury. So fortunately, we've had several meetings and practices early and showing them how to practice and what's acceptable and what's not, how to stay on our feet, but how to still play. It's hard. You say stay up because you want to stay out legs, but you stay up, you start playing high. Okay, play lower, but stay off the ground. You go back and forth. There's a little bit of give and take there. But our numbers have been, we've not had to not do something because we didn't have the numbers to get through. Now, there's been some times I thought in practice we've had enough and maybe I wanted to do a little bit more. And I said, no, it's not smart. We've had enough. I like what we've done. Like we're at the point of our volume of the amount of running we've done or the amount of contact. I don't expect, I guess we'll get into in this time to look to see if there's potential to add a couple transfer portal guys. The walk-on situation here, we need to add some good walk-ons. It's always a little bit tough, though. It's an expensive school. It's a private school, so hey, come work as hard as you can every day, and by the way, spend a lot of money as you do that. Thank you. And we do have a few quality walk-ons we're excited about. Would like to add that because you'd like to be at 120, you'd like to be at 85. I don't think we're going to be far off of both those numbers. We might be maybe 114 or 116 instead of 120 on the roster. We might be at 82 or 3 or 4. For example, we got a couple older players that are coming off of injury. Chester Ball had to have a major leg surgery. He's looking good. But you'll go through summer, and hopefully he's back and healthy and ready to play in the fall. We won't know till summer. Dorian Hopkins, same deal, coming off a knee injury. I think the knee injury last year, he actually had a little medical setback with a little bit of infection, so it slowly they're both looking great right now. But you'll go through summer, and our medical guys will calculate. Looks like he's going to hold up, and you want them to. So, but all of a sudden, you're counting on them, and then maybe medically they don't progress like you want, and now it's July. So you might fall a few numbers down, and things like that could always happen. You could have a late transfer out. You could have a late academic casualty. You could have a late someone maybe medically not hold up. But I think right now we're going to be close to full throttle. I thought we did a really good job, and again, I appreciate our players. The first team meeting, we said press pause, relax, take a deep breath. And then from there, we've worked really hard to try to connect on here's how we want to practice, here's what we want to do. Very proud of the 12 senior leaders or 12 leaders we have. They're not all seniors. They've been our go-to guys are setting a tone. I think we had a couple text volleys the other night, and I think K-Ray said, hey, Coach, we're player-led, player-driven. So we've had good buy-in, and because we have good buy-in, we haven't had a lot of buy-out. So we'll see, but we could probably be a little under the number, but I expect us to be right at the number the best we can. And I don't expect a lot of wholesale transfer stuff. We'll look at some guys and hopefully be able to add a few. We got a couple spots that are open because we didn't fill a couple spots in transition, so we have a couple spots in our hand. But we're not really necessarily telling guys, hey, you need to leave. And a lot of people are doing that. We're trying to connect and see if we can build from within and complement versus, clean house and start new.
You kind of referenced it there, but do you feel like during the spring you've established that baseline of this is what I expect from you guys in practice and with the program and everything like that?
Think so. It's one thing to say at one time. It's one thing what I say, but it's another thing what they do and what they say and what they believe. So we start several meetings or several. What are our core values of this program? What do we stand for? What's our offense and defense plan to win? What's that about? What does that stand for? Versus it's just a slogan on the wall or something like that. So we've worked hard. We've tried to back it up, and the best backup I got, like for example, if I want something to the team, I send a message to 12 players, and they tell the team what's going on. And it's causing us to be player-led, and it's coming from the players. I think because it's coming from the players, it's enhanced some of the buy-in versus a coach that's just preaching to the audience all day. I try to connect the best I can with those guys, and then let those guys connect with our team. And not that the other guys don't matter. I still want to connect, and our position coaches have to connect with their units and the whole team. But it's been very. We did that a few years ago, and. I think our sport is so large to have 1, 2, 3 captains. I think it's better to have 10, 11, 12 because we can operate with 10. I got 12 guys leading 10 guys. That's 120 people. And for example, you would basically be, if I was the leader, hey, you're my crowd, you're my guys. So hey, tomorrow we got breakfast at 7:30. I'll see you there. Everybody cool? Boom. And it comes from me, the player, not someone else, the coach. And it's been. Again, I congratulate, I thank them, and I respect what they're doing in a great deal.
Are you happy with where you're at physically? I know health is one thing, but physically you have your own philosophies coming in with what you want from your strength staff, but how has that progress been?
I think our support staffs, and we typically today, I did not do it today because we're at the end. I just met with our academics. Typically today's the day we have an all meeting of all staff. So we're at the nutrition, academics, medical, weight room, and we go through and talk about each one of you. How are we doing? How's he doing physically, psychologically? What's his body weight like, et cetera. So we work really hard to make sure all our support people are hearing how the guys are doing because we're all working together to develop that person on and off the field. I like our athleticism. I like our size potential. I think we do need to be bigger, stronger, just with body weight, body gain. We can talk about like, hey, we need to enhance our nutrition. Yeah, I guess, but sometimes, we give you a weekly body weight goal and you need to eat and rest and make it. So some of that's just the me or the strength coaches or nutrition or really the position coach and those team leaders emphasizing guys making body weight. This is a game played by big and fast people, and some of our skill guys I think need to be bigger and stronger. I think we lost, looking at last year's roster, some mature players that were seniors and had good skill but had good size. I like our skill, I like our players, but I think the summer is going to be huge. We need to continue to take some of these 175, 78, 82-pound receivers or DBs and get them up to 84 and 86 and 88 so that they're more durable and they're stronger and they can make more plays. So this will be, as we transition from today, we'll finish next week's discretionary, optional kind of lifting week leading into reading week and finals. They'll get a couple weeks off. We'll crank it up May 22nd. And we have an 8-week cycle this summer of not just lifting, not just running, but also team building, but physical building. So I'd like to, we need to enhance where we're at physically as far as, again, I really like Eric Anthony, our strength coach, our staff. We've been able to, we actually have a staff opening right now in the strength world that we need to add, but I like their energy and their work. And when I got here, everybody was bragging about Eric as he's a great coach and doing an awesome job. And we'll have to lean on him this summer. But it's not just working hard and come to the weight room. You got to teach them how to sleep, and get a good night's rest and recover, teach them how to hydrate, and teach them how to put some good stuff in their bodies. And we're going to keep working hard at that.
So because you have to take over a program, like you said, you got to kind of establish this is what we want, this is what we expect, but you're trying to coach at the same time and go through position groups and such. How's that been split up, and is there a position group you're most happy with right now?
Well, I mean, there's several position groups that I think have a chance to be really solid for us. I mean, in this day and age where you now have 10 coaches, 5 on offense, and some of the offensive coaches I had experience with Coach Fry and Coach Stanchek. Coach Schwitzer's a dynamic young coach. Adrian Mays worked for a guy that I had worked with, Seth Luttrell. I knew Coach Spurrier. So that offensive crowd, I was able to get those guys together, and sometimes we talk about what do you like, what do I like, but hey, what do we like? But I think we're able to get that crowd going a little bit. It gave me a little chance with our defensive hiccup we have with Coach leaving to spend a little bit more time with our defensive coaches. We've met a lot this year as a staff, and we actually watch tape together, offense and defense. So I'm like, hey, what are you doing here? Why are you doing this? Hey, offense, why are you doing this? And so you can hear what both sides are talking about and why, they're running a certain coverage or a certain blitz, or why are we attacking or throwing this pass, or what's this protection issue, or when you do this is hard to to get a combination figured out, and who's blocking who. So it's caused me to spend a little bit more time on the defensive field, which I think's been good. Being more offensive oriented, you gravitate that way. And because we've been down one, it's forced me to be more of a head coach and be around those guys. And more than anything, I know some degree of defense, but what I really know is what it looks like with playing hard, playing with effort, playing with energy, which is my kind of style of offense, and it's what I want our defense to be. So I like the way those guys have come along. So I think our unit coaches have done really well. I think I'm still down one position where right now Don Franks is coaching our safeties, and Ron Burton and Coy McFarland and Mike Hunter and Joe Bolden are kind of working collectively together on the defense. 2 guys are front guys, Coach Bolden and Coach Burton. 2 guys are backing guys with Coach Hunter and Coach McFarland. And then I'm just kind of being the conscience, like again, like, why did you do this? I like where it is. We'll make some adjustments here in the next month or so as we get into recruiting and kind of finalize. We've got a couple strength coach position to fill. We got a couple supports positions that I'll fill here in the next month, so we're full throttle June and July. Position groups, that safety group is really good, deep, good players. Really, really good. Tight end crowd's pretty decent with Hall and with Bain and a couple of young guys. Colby Powers has had a good spring. Waylon Adams in town. Connor Von, that group's, and you don't think of tight ends, but it complements the O-line. When your tight end presence is good. Now, I think Kyle Herberts came on nicely at offensive tackle. Daryl Simpson was having a really good spring and has had a setback of minor injuries, caused him to miss the last 2 practices, so it's not a big deal. But I thought he was doing well. Ty Marks was doing well. Will Farniak doing well. That O-line lacks maybe a few numbers. Wish we had like 16, 17, 18. We're about 13 now, 14. So D-lines impress me. The big guys inside, Joe Anderson's a quality player. Jaden Simon's doing well. Everett Rogers doing well. brought in transfers. Zayden Hamden doing well. Von Troy Malone has been a really pleasant surprise at outside linebacker DN with Zach Nielsen, Owen Ostrowski, and King over there at defensive end. I mean, the D front linebacker crowd, a couple of that middle of the defense is pretty good. I think our skill positions at corner, skill positions at receiver, I think tight end, O-line, quarterback. The middle of our team looks pretty good. And if we're a baseball team, we're kind of good in the middle. I'd like to be a little bit better on the fringes and have those kids. There's just some youthfulness out there that we need to develop our perimeter skill. And then we'll need to see where we get in the kicking game as we enhance that and as we move forward. But there's been some good group. We got some good players. Got some damn good players.
Coach, when you look at your staff, the pretty young staff, how are they able?
I appreciate that.
You kind of touched on it a little bit, but
I'm part of that. Thank you.
no problem. But they're learning a lot, learning what you're wanting. How are they able to respond with everything? And then, do you have a timetable as of what you're looking for a defensive coordinator?
Yeah. Again, offensively, Coach Spurrier's been around a long time, Coach Fry's been around a long time, but I'd tell you, Coach Stanchek, who's young, and Coach Switzer is young, is as talented as those guys are more. They're just young. What's your experience, what's your knowledge, what's your ability to connect and coach? I feel the same thing about Michael Hunter and even Dom. It's back there playing, it's helping us in the secondary now. Coy, those are young guys. Joe's a young guy, but got some veteran. There's some youthfulness, but with Coach Burton, you got a vet. The problem to me with the youthfulness of some of those guys is just the ability of command presence, whether it be with your unit, whether it be on the field. It doesn't mean you're yelling or screaming or overly animated, but what's your ability to capture your players, what's your ability to capture your meeting room, whether you be a coach in a coach's meeting room or a position coach in a player meeting, what's your ability to grab attention and to have command presence as you go. And sometimes young guys, do they have the confidence to do that? Sometimes when you're young, you know what you know, and that's good, and then that's bad. And so what I'm doing is just kind of gauging, not the scheme. They know the scheme. I think they know how to coach. I'm just looking to make sure we have the leadership piece to lead the coaches and lead that. And I think we do, but again, we've got, and the deal will be we'll either elevate and make a full-time hire and hire a part-time guy or hire another coach. I like what we're doing defensively. I think it fits. What we're doing is uniquely different from other places we've been because we're uniquely different. We were a three-man front. We're not a true four-down. We do have some strength at safeties and linebackers and other positions. We're going to play to the strength of the players. My background as an offensive coach was I was an I formation coach. And I went to school that had no tight ends and fullbacks, so we became a shotgun team, not because I wanted to. I remember my boss would come in and say, I can't believe we're doing this, and slam the door and walk out. But we had no choice, and we had to. And so sometimes the really good coaches learn how to adapt. So I'm just curious with our young guys, can we adapt? I think what we're doing fits. So I don't know if I go out and bring someone that might look on paper better. Is that a good fit or not? Is that a square peg? And I felt like so much. Again, I don't walk out of that building feeling like we didn't have a good day. And I kind of popped up this morning, kind of already just thinking about, okay, last day of practice, let's make sure we get this done, that done, this done. Hey, so-and-so, now I got to make sure I get with this kid on that. We got a little issue over here I want to clean up and blah, 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 blah. And so I'm kind of excited about where we're going, and I'm so excited I don't necessarily think there need to be some knee-jerk decisions. So I think our staff's kind of getting pretty set the way it is, and we'll come out with official titles. I don't know what titles mean. I was at a place that had 19 million titles. So like, who's doing the work, and how do we work together? And a lot of times the schools like this, we give you titles because we can't give you a pay raise, so we'll just give you a title, right? Like, hey, thank you. We'll give you a title and a Twitter post, because you can't give you a pay. That's the pay raise, right? DT, right? We'll make you senior associated coordinator of this or something. I don't know. But I like our group, man. We got a great group, and they're working well. And I got 2 or 3 support compositions or way we can just finalize as we wrap up spring. We'll wrap up spring this week. We're getting into a recruiting cycle. We're not going to recruit for another week. We're going to stay on campus and make sure we finish this semester academically, finish this semester with direction. Then we'll go out as we get in the 1st of May, a couple weeks down south, and one big week in Oklahoma recruiting. So we're working really hard to just take the group we got, keep molding it. I got a little polishing to do. But I've not felt any urge of, I got a major problem I got to fix. The problem I got is I'm just working hard to get everybody on the same page and working together. And I think that's my job each day is to facilitate that the best I can. And for 14 practices, I mean, you're out there a little bit seeing this. You guys have seen a little. You can see a little bit more today. We're practicing like a good-looking team.
I did mine.
All right.
Last time you were head coach, there was no transfer portal. Does it change anything about the way you coach kids, interact with kids? Does it feel like a softer touch is sort of necessary in this day and age, or you just?
I think you got to do a great job of constant communication, everyone on the same page. So if someone's not doing something properly, you need to address that. And sometimes you make sure you need to address that. For example, before I came here, I was a little bit late because of a couple things I was dealing with. And one was writing a letter to all our parents. We had a bunch of parents here the other day, but basically an update of our semester. And I listed in that parent letter what our program core values were. I listed what our program mantra is. I listed who our 12 leaders are that were voted by their team peers and the great job they're doing, because I think the families need to be a part of what's going on, because everybody's getting pulled. The reason we have a big staff meeting every week with everyone is everybody's pulling players to academically do this or medically do this. Well, you're the kid in the middle, and these kids get pulled. And I'm trying to just get these guys to realize we're here to work for you. If a guy doesn't want to be here, wants to leave, that's his prerogative. It's our prerogative, I guess, to look. I don't think we're at a place where to walk in and just quote unquote, the cuts, hey, you're out of here, go find a place. I don't think that works. I think you need to be real. Right now, going into the season, I've been here now 4 months. I've seen you lift. I've seen you academically do your things. I've seen you practice. I see your body weight. I see what you bench. I see what you run. I see your practice habits. I think you have a chance to have a major role. I think you're going to be a good backup. I think you're not good enough yet. You're a year away. There's nothing wrong with that, but you need to just know, I think you need to communicate where you are, and that everyone understands, and the position coach, the head coach, the player, and their family. Okay, here's where you are today. And if you like where you are, great, but if I were you, I'd try to get better. If you want to be really good, if you want a chance to make it past you, if you want to be on a great team. If you don't like where you are, can we change it? Can we get stronger? Can we gain some of that body weight we're talking about? We're just young, and maybe I don't have my skill set up yet. Academically, I've had some issues. I haven't been really good with getting some work turned in on time, and I haven't been doing well. So I have an academic. If you keep doing it this way, it's not going to work here. It's not going to work you can go to another school. It's not going to work at another school if you're not turning in your work. I mean, it's not going to work at another school if you're not making your body weight. Everything we're doing is kind of what most people do at really good college programs. This is how you do it. So, I think it forces you to have better communication. I don't think the standard of playing this game by any means is lowered. I think most players want discipline and structure, but you have to educate and understand and communicate and have on the same page. Like, for example, I had a really good player the other day that came out and he didn't have his shoulder things on pad, a little spider pad, didn't have his jersey on yet. So I just sat there and watched him. And as we started, we do a little light work, warm up, and he's getting his stuff on. Then he goes over and he gets taped. I walked over and said, dude, like, we started practice like 5 minutes ago, and you're one of my best players. And, I'm just telling you, next year, if you were in a pro camp, they'd probably cut you. But just don't think I wasn't going to notice it, and don't think I wasn't going to come say something. I didn't, scream at him. And I went, hey, man, don't do that, please. Do you understand? Don't do that. And don't think I'm not going to see that. And don't think because you're a good player, I'm not going to address it. I'm going to address it. But I addressed it hey, come on now. Everybody's out here. You have the same amount of time as you're not coming in late because you're coming from class. You're just stalling a little bit. Stop the stall and get up to speed. And so that was when you say, does it make it softer? I guess 20 years ago, I might just screamed at the guy, walked there and said, hey, man, what are you doing? Don't do that. Okay, and don't do it again. Are you good? And he goes, I got you. And I said, well, hey, trust me, I'm not looking the other way. And it was one of our very, very, it's one of our really strong leaders. And just, for example, Coach Burton came to me a week ago and said, Coach, you said something. I think you need to be careful. If I was you, I would maybe say that one-on-one. And it's something that I appreciate him saying to me, just one great coach. If I was you now, I don't know if, I was in a meeting with coaches. He goes, you might want to get that guy one-on-one. I said, I appreciate that. We all need guidelines and guardrails and people keeping you in your track. And I think that's what the portal does. It forces you to stay in your track, but it forces you to communicate. And I think if they're on the same page buying, they do. And sometimes if the horse don't want to drink the water, he don't drink the water. And unfortunately, that's a part of it.
What do you like about your running back room?
That's a room that I think's got some talent, but it's been inconsistent. And I say it because as we go through, I'm used to, guys that take care of the bodies and can really run the ball and run day after day. We've had some, not major, we've had some guys been a little inconsistent with a little nick up here, and then next day it might be a little limited. I think they got to do a better job of, I think there's some talent there and some skill level, but I think that's a room that physically is good, but needs to physically, mentally mature to be a little bit more consistent. I think we got some playmakers, but to be really good, you got to good running backs show up each week, and that means they learn how to take care of their body. They, to me, all you're doing in the off season coming up is you're getting your body and your mind hard enough that it can show up every Tuesday, Wednesday, and then play well on Saturdays, because you're building a foundation for your house in the off season. I think our running backs have some talent. I'd like to see them stable their foundation to be a little bit better as we get into the off season, be more consistent. There's playmakers, there's talent. I'm looking for some consistency.
Coach, we've got Mitchell Culkin and Cam
Good.
Newton coming in after.
Yep.
Just talk about their progress this spring. I know both were former walk-ons.
Yeah,
both scholarships, and now.
Yeah, I think Cam is actually, he was not voted, he's one of our, what we call second in commands. Each leader got to pick his second choice to be his co-leader, and so Cam's one of our co-leaders. I think his parents are coaches down and athletic administrator. I think his mom's the AD at Cedar Hill down in Texas, which is a great program. His daddy coaches down there. Very smart, outstanding student. I think both those guys are in grad school already, have graduated. Have been consistent players. When we talk about consistency at other positions, they've been very consistent. I would expect Cam to have a solid special team role and be one of our 6 receivers, strongly in the mix, can play inside or outside. Does need to get bigger, stronger. Like to see him as an older guy get a little bit bigger, stronger. Mitchell, starting time at linebacker, will probably play a fair amount, probably split time with one of our other guys. I think he and Colton Smith came in, are kind of managing the one linebacker spot. I think he and Coach McFarland are on the same page, connecting with how he wants to lead, communicate. Again, an in-town guy, tremendous player, great leader, tremendous student, and he's had a good spring. I'm counting on both those guys to be they're quality players. They're great leaders, and they're great students. They're great representatives of TU athletics and TU football. Good?
Well, I'll ask one more. I'm getting tired just hearing you talk about all the work it takes to get everybody on the same page. You know what I mean? Coaching the coaches. What's that?
What do you say?
I said I get tired just hearing you talk about all the work it takes for you to get everybody on the same page. That constant, coaching the coaches, coaching the players, just everything that goes into what you've done. Has it been any more than you expected? And 2, are you enjoying it as much as
it's been much more easier than I expected. Now, again, coming from Ohio State, which everybody say you got all these great players and resources, that was one of the best, maybe the best place where I got a lot of these ideas and was exposed to having everybody sit down and work together for the player. And it might take a little bit of time, but we're here. We all say we're here for the players, but unfortunately, like in your world, you got, in your world, you got the sports section, but then you got the weather over here, right? And you got there's all these departments within your media deal, right? But you worry about your little section. Well, that's kind of in the athletic world, everybody worries about their little section. And I'm like, I got this kid in the middle. Like here we actually call it the eye of the hurricane. So the eye is kind of calm. Well, that's where the kid is. He's in the middle. And you got all this storm going around. That's medical and academics and nutrition and equipment and coaches and mental health. And we got all these things going around pulling this kid. And I'm like, let's make sure all these things are working together. And we're not pulling that kid out of the eye of the storm. He's in the eye where it's calm. Our job is to work together. And I don't get tired doing it. It's been much, I think because having done it before, I came from a place where I saw a lot of people working together, so I was challenged to do my darndest to get everybody to work together. And then secondly, having done it before, I was going to spend more time teaching the players how I wanted it done versus telling them they didn't know what to do. I thought it was our job to teach. And I've been more critical of our coaches, just making sure it's not the kids' fault, it's our fault. Teach, slow down, and I've enjoyed that. And like I say, I leave the building every day in a good mood, and I'm not Mr. Everybody talks about working hard and all that. Coach Stoops was the greatest ever, and he got it from Coach Spurrier, and of course Steve Jr.'s on my staff. It's working smart. And so I've never been like, hey, wake up at 4 or 5 in the morning and stay till 1 or 2 at night. But I do wake up some mornings like thinking right away, okay, today we got to da-da-da. And it's not stressful. It's like, okay, today I got to get this done. Because there's only so many days to that first game. It's like tax day just came, and there's a day where there's days that we get judged that are coming, and I love the preparation piece. I love practice. I love preparing practice. I like talking about practice. I like selling practice. I like development, And like I say, I'm excited to be here. I'm blessed to be here, fortunate to be here, and I like where we're at. I mean, we'll see when we put it all together how it looks, and we go out to play a game, what that looks like. That's here coming up here, I guess, at the end of August. We got a long time. We got not a long time, but we got time for that. But every day working. Someone asked me a few years ago when my coaches was going to retire when my youngest son finished. I said, I'm going to retire the first day this is work. So the first day I'm working, I'm out. Okay, we're having a blast. We're having fun. It's a joy working with these kids and working with these guys. Sometimes it's actually a joy working with you guys too. Now, you just.
All right, so you say, it depends on how today goes. I get that. But if today goes okay, then what would you give this spring? 1 out of 10, 5 out of 10, 9 out of 10? Where would you grade it?
We're on the middle, trending up because we have more good days. I mean, I still like the question was asked earlier. I would like to be able to do more. I don't know if we're deep enough or strong enough to do as much as I'd like to do yet. Not play-wise, like how much your offense and just pushing guys like, hey, there's a little bit more in the tank. Right now, we're kind of building up what's in that tank. And I think I'm smart to realize, okay, there's a diminishing returns. Like, well, that's enough today. We'll come back, and that was a good day. Let's put that one in the back pocket, and we'll stack up the next day. So, I mean, it's been really. I mean, there'll never be a 10, but this is not when we're. Again, it's a joy walking on. We'll have fun on that field today. You guys will be glad to see it. And all that. Now, practice day, you guys want these guys to catch some of practice, right? We get out there 3-ish. You want to go the front end or the back end? The front end's more like how much time you need. And the deal is you're allowed to watch practice film. You cannot film with audio because play calls are being made. So you can film practice. We didn't say you could sound practice. See, then you guys have to play the music over, like the elevator music, when you show it on TV, and or you talk over it, right?
It's harder in radio, but we'll try.
Yeah.
Early part of practice work better.
What's better? I mean, for your time, we'll wrap up probably 5:15. So we'll go from 3. Typically between 5:15 and 5:20, we're kind of done. That's been about normal, right? I mean, you've seen us out there, and we typically get started. We will go about a 20-minute like active. Like we don't start real fast. We kind of build. We have just some teaching couple periods and kind of build up to it and get it going.
I'd rather watch the end.
I'd rather watch the end.
Yeah. So it's just like.
What time? 4:30?
Yeah, maybe 4:15. I'll shoot you a text, something like that. 4:30, 5:15 be good. We'll be at the end doing some. There's a couple teach periods. I think today we're doing a couple situations. We're doing, hey, backed up, just teaching. Hey, not plays, but hey, the ball's on the 1 yard line coming out. Here's what you're trying to do. Even though we're not really just wearing shoulder pads today. I think we're going to do maybe a tempo or 2-minute period, and maybe some scoring zones. We're just running some plays and stuff. So, everybody cool? Awesome. Appreciate you guys.